Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
The evil and disgusting Saul Alinsky wrote in his first book, "While liberals are most adept at breaking their own necks with their tongues, radicals are most adept at breaking the necks of conservatives." Something to worry about. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith. And God bless America, followed by a patriot. A patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Call in. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb at the Ranch on this Tuesday, April 16th, the day after, yeah, you know what I'm going to say, tax day. Everybody kind of sitting there going, oh, I feel the pain. Well, thank you very much to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great big spring tire sale going on right now. And also some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Let's go to the phone right now and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attaboy.
Attaboy. Thank you very much. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger, at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Yep, can't miss them. No, you can't. I mean, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, and all the best tools and equipment. And for any finishing of a construction project, whatever you've got to get done and or get started this spring, you get a hold of them today. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. And if you really have questions about what you need, call them 678-3122. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like we're going to see a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. 30% chance of showers, a very slight chance, but other than that, partly sunny skies, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the west at about 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. We're looking at a high of 55 tonight. Nice and clear skies with a low of 36 tomorrow. Glorious sunshine, a little bit on the breezy side, expecting a high of 60, mostly clear for tomorrow night with a low of 39. By Thursday, sunny skies with a high of 67. By Friday, sunny and 76. Saturday, we do have a 40% chance of rain showers. That means the weather's going to be changing just a little bit. Partly sunny skies, high of 60. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'll take a couple of really nice days. Hey, let's give a great big shout-out. Thank you to K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Like I said, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. They can help you with all the tools and equipment for your spring work. 678-3122. Hey, we'll open the gates, boys, and let him in, and we're going to sell some cattle on Thursday. You better believe it, the sale that works for you. And that's the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. I'll repeat, 678-9411. Merv May, K. Draghi, Lance Udy at the sale that works for you. 10:30 starting time this coming Thursday at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Really, really good, folks. Lunch Bunch. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. And, of course, let's see, I also want to remind you about some other public service events Bingo Friday night over at the Rupert Senior Center. Yeah, I got to get that in or I'll get yelled at. Don't forget Darrow's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I'm telling you folks, they can take your rumply crumplies that you take. I could take mine in a big rodeo gear bag and I just kind of separate them on the counter and say, have at it. And they come back to me looking brand spanking new. Excellent job at Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, and again, I want to mention that if you don't have time to do your own washing of wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, they can, just like Mom used to. Give them a call or stop in. Darrow's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, 878-8900. Oh, let's see what we got cooking here. Lunch Bunch will be this Thursday at 11:30, and I really, really appreciate if you do a little extra due diligence and bring somebody with you. Yep, bring somebody with you. We want to fill the place up, and I would really appreciate it at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Now, we have a lot of door prizes to give away, and we really appreciate the efforts of Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, and, of course, Denny's. And we'll look for you there at 11:30 on Thursday. You can stop in anytime, all the time, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, dessert, whatever, at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant in Burley. Really nice people serving you at Denny's Restaurant. Oh, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Saturday, please put it on your calendar. From 4 to 6, they're going to have a benefit dinner for J.R. Strunk, a very good friend of ours and a friend of this program. And he has done so much over his career of helping others. Please, let's help him a little bit, if you would, please. It's going to be from 4 to 6 p.m. on this coming Saturday at the Rupert Senior Center in Rupert. And they're going to have a dinner, and they're going to have a silent raffle and tickets for a .22-250 rifle and other great prizes. So please don't forget that. Call my buddy George Mass or Les Wilson for more information. Benefit dinner this coming Saturday night for J.R. Strunk. Thank you. Ramsey Heating and Electric, hello, they're already there this morning. They got there about 7:30, opened the doors up and said, come on in, world, for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. And don't forget, they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And a lot of people don't know that you can call ahead, and for the smaller items that you need, they'll have it waiting on the counter for you, 678-0459. Over 6 decades of serving you with all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs at Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. You stop down, see them today. Caller, good morning. Thank you for your call.
Good morning. It's the Yummy Man. Today we're having Malibu chicken, baked potatoes, cauliflower, and some more vegetables, and bread pudding.
Okay, I got a question for you.
All right.
Now, why do they call it Malibu chicken? Were all these chickens raised on the beach in California, or what?
I asked the same thing, and they said it was yummy. It consisted of chicken and ham and cheese melded together, and so we'll just have to look and see what it comes out to be. It'll be good, I guarantee.
Okay, well, they kind of gave you the Bernie Sanders answer then, right, huh?
That's right. Now, I want to remind people we'll have a cancer screening for seniors, I believe, on the 22nd of April in the morning.
Okay.
No charge if you're a senior. Call and get on the list.
All right, Joe. Hey, listen, thank you so much. Senior Center on Overland and the Yummy Man. Joe Taylor, thank you, sir. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, sir. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I've got an appointment. When do I go over there? Thursday, after lunch bunch, I got to go over there, as a matter of fact, again. Nick Greenwell and all of his physical therapists really know their stuff. I'm telling you, all the exercises. And they plan everything out to better emphasize your needs to bring you back to being you. Absolutely. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I'm going to give you the number I want you to call. Please make an appointment. If you're aching and paining, they can and they will help you. 678-1191. I'll say it again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Please call them today. We're going to get started on a little bit of what I watched last night, the town hall with Bernie Sanders. Now, a lot of you might say, oh, Bernie, he's not going to go anywhere. I'm afraid that he might. I'm afraid that there are, people might be offended by this, lots and lots of dumb people that can't understand the benefits of capitalism over socialism. I'm afraid there's a lot of people that think free is going to be paid by somebody else and not them. And I'm really concerned. We're going to talk about him in a minute. This guy scares me. And another reason he scares me quickly is because if he were elected as president, he would be 80 years old. Now, I'm not a spring chicken, but I guarantee you I am against, and I will stand behind a person that old running for the leadership in this country, regardless of party. Trump that old? No, can't run. I just honestly think that there are minimums and there should be maximums. And in Bernie's case, boy, would I like to see a maximum on him. Anyway, we're going to be talking about that in just a moment. Don't forget Rain for Rent, and they're located at 134 South, 600 West of Paul. Oh, they serve your irrigation needs. They've got a dedicated and sales and service staff that really know irrigation. They've taken all the education, man, and they put it to good use to help you with your irrigation systems. And, you know, we had a call last week, and Jake was telling us that they've got the telemetry annex boxes for any pivot, and you can direct and set up through your smartphone. Woo! This is high tech for me, I'll guarantee you. Reiki Diamond Dealer, Rain for Rent. With Jake and the rest of the crew, give them a call or stop in, 438-5065 over in Paul. Rain for Rent. All right, how about you giving me a call right now, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Why am I worried about an almost 80 gray-haired kook? Bernie Sanders had a town hall meeting last night, and they ran the information on Fox News. And I guess Fox trying to be fair and balanced, and Bernie was there, and I'm just going to give you my take on it. If you disagree, you can go ahead and call me. I would appreciate that. Many people probably noticed that he deflected and or didn't answer directly the questions that were asked. He's a good politician. He can deflect and kind of skirt the issue. But he absolutely has people believing in a single-payer Medicare or a Medicaid program, Medicare program, pardon me, and he has people believing that it's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread to eliminate and cancel and make go away private insurance companies. He absolutely, all of his schemes are for socialism instead of capitalism. And what really bothered me last night is that I didn't think that the interviewers on stage with him, Brett Baer and Martha McCallum from Fox News, they did not press him hard enough on the issues of where is the money going to come from. I'll give you an example quickly and I'll go to the caller. Talking about health care for all. And Martha McCallum did say, well, Bernie, it's not free. Somebody has to pay for it. Oh, well, then he backtracked a little bit. And he said, well, of course, health care isn't free, but it will be when you walk in the door to need it. And then he kind of glossed it over and went on. And she didn't press him hard enough on that. Because as the figures came out on the cost of health care, experts, economists have figured it out. It would cost every taxpayer in the United States a minimum of $20,000. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb, you and I can afford that, can't we?
Oh, yeah, I'll write you a check, Arp.
Well, it's just amazing to me, but it's not surprising. Our school system, from grade school through college, over 90% of the professors in college are socialist. I mean, that's what they're cranking out. And the students, when they take a survey of the last presidential election, the college students all wanted Bernie Sanders because they're not taught about just basic economics. And, it's just incredible that we're at this point in time. And, of course, nobody wants to point out the failures of socialism, like the communist Russia, China, Venezuela, Cuba. They kind of skirt around the issues on that.
But wait, whoa, stop for a minute. Why not? In other words, I just can't understand that if little Johnny and Susie come home from school at night and they say to their parents when asked, what did you learn in school today? And, little Johnny says, we learned that socialism is so much better than capitalism that we've got to change and we've got to have you vote for Bernie Sanders. I don't understand why the school systems, why teachers, why parents are not getting involved in this thing and say, wait a minute. Over 200 years, this country has flourished and prospered as the strongest and wealthiest and best economic situation on the face of the planet, and yet we've got these deadbeat teachers that are preaching socialism. I don't understand how.
Well, here's the problem. The parents of these students have been taught socialism. This has been going on. You and I, you realize, are just useless eaters out here, and we're the old reprobates out here preaching a philosophy of the founding fathers, and nobody wants to believe in them. And so these students come home, they're taught socialism. I testified before the State Board of Education and the Senate Education Committee right here at the local college years ago. The textbooks then were horrible, and now we got Common Core coming directly from the communist-controlled United Nations right into the classrooms here in Idaho.
Yeah.
I mean, people, we better be waking up and smelling the coffee.
Well, it's not just waking up. We've got to do something about it. And I've got to do a commercial break, but I want to leave you with this. I am sick and tired, and I underline that, of the naivete and the sitting back and absorbing like sponges, and people are not doing anything. I can't understand why they're not inflamed about what's going on in this country, but they won't do one doggone thing about it.
Well, the history of the world and the history of this country has been by dedicated minorities of that just get in there and dig in there. Look at the Tea Party movement that started 10 years ago. I mean, that was just a grand handful of people.
Yeah.
And it basically, the Tea Party, you don't hear much about it anymore, but the Tea Party and us deplorables voted in Donald Trump, and we're going to vote him in again.
I hope you are 100% right in 2020. I'm getting a little bit of itch every now and then as to a fear of the Democrats. Adrian, I got to run. Always appreciate your calls. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it.
Have a super day.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Appreciate his call. Appreciate your call. Give me one, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Somebody said the other day, and it was kind of a sarcastic statement to me, well, how come you know so much about it? Well, I've never got on the air and bragged, I'm all so much smarter than anybody else or anything like that, ever. But I read and I study and I take notes and I write things down and compare them to other things that have been done in the same or with the same issue, and really sit there and strategize as to what's going on. Don't believe me? Come over at 4 a.m. when I get out of bed every morning, and you can see what I do 4 hours prior to this program. I am sick and tired of people not doing anything. And then, reverting back to a program that happened, I think, about a year ago, a gentleman called me and he said, well, why don't you do this? And why don't you call so-and-so? And why don't you ask him about that? And I blew my top, because what are you doing? What are you helping to find out? What are you voicing your opinion on? Why is it that people always point their finger to somebody else? Well, why don't you go do this? It's like that silly television commercial where the neighbors are talking, and the one neighbor says, well, I need to do some improvements on my backyard. Do you know anybody? And the guy says, well, yeah, I might. Well, great. Check him out. Do all the credit checks and everything else. Turning it over to somebody else. And that's the problem in America today. You don't get involved, and you try to turn it over to somebody else. Don't forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. And believe me, Dr. Bill says, hey, come on in for any animal health problems. And don't forget that it's time to deworm your horses. It is time. And also, they've got all the calving supplies. And whether you got itty-bitty kitty cat or a whole bunch of dairy cattle, they can help. A mixed animal practice at Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn. And the number to call, 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Calls are welcome. You get involved, and caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, Mad River Laser. I love this business, and Nicole and other family members there, etc. They really do an outstanding job for you on like your T-shirts and your caps and jackets, everything. And Mad River's gift shop has gone through a homespun upgrade, and they are proudly offering more locally sourced items and made in the USA products. Let me say that again. I'm proud of her for doing this. Made in the USA products. And if you mention my name when you go in there, they'll give you a saving of up to $50 if you just mention my name. Stop in to our friends at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert, on the east side of the square, next to the Youth Ranch. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Hey, I'm to the point that I don't care what color you are, what race you are, what religion you are, even what sexual orientation you are. If you support the Constitution 100%, well, that leaves out all the Democrats, but, you know, if Condoleezza Rice ran, I would, and man, I got a race, and I got a color, and I got a woman.
Yeah. Now, let me interject something with you. You mentioned about I don't care what sexual gender you are, etc. You know what? I don't either. But here's the caveat. I don't need anybody from the LGBTQ, RSTUV, WXYZ, whatever the heck they want to add on for initials, pushing it to my family, my kids in school, my grandkids, anybody else. Live your life, leave me alone, and don't offend other people.
Well, yeah, and here's the other thing. I don't want it to be, and I don't care if it's your race, religion, or color, or gender, or whatever, I don't want it to be the main item on your ticket.
Yeah. You know, we've got a lot of problems in this country, and we're no different than any other country for having to solve certain internal problems. But you know something, sweet lady, I will say this to you. For some of the nincompoops, and they are, that would sit there and criticize this country and say, well, it was never great. Let's not go there, like that idiotic mayor from Indiana, Pete Buttigieg, the gay man that has denigrated our great country ever since he put his hat in the ring to be a nominee. We don't need people like that. This country is great. No. This country has been great, but this country can also be greater.
Yeah, well, here's a thought that it just hit me. World War II was horrible, but for our country it was great because so many men stepped up to the plate to serve in the, to go defend our country. And if that were to happen today, how many men, and I use that term loosely, would be willing to do what they did?
I can't answer that question because I've had the same concerns. You and I are on the same page.
Yeah, our country was great back then during World War II, even though it was a tough time. Everybody stepped up the plate. I listen to old-time radio, and they talk about rationing and, and your coupons, and I didn't have to live through that.
I remember a family gathering. This was when I was about maybe a freshman, maybe 8th grade. I can't remember. And we all had kind of a family reunion over at a little lake in southern Wisconsin called Lake Mills. And I never will forget listening to my dad and my 2 uncles and my grandfather as they talked about their service in the war. And my Uncle Harmon brought tears to my eyes, and when I think about it today, it still makes me get teary-eyed. When he was talking about, he was over on the Japanese front. He was an infantryman. And he talked about the horrors of war, and then he talked about how it was so uplifting to see that red, white, and blue go up on a hill that they had just taken. And a lot of these people today have no value for our flag, no value for our Constitution, and no value for our country, and that sickens me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and make it great again. And we might wind up in a war, but if we had young men step up like they did in World War II, World War I, it would be a great country.
How could anybody, honestly, vote? And I really opened this up for discussion this morning. How could anybody vote for a gay mayor that wants to be president, Pete Buttigieg from Indiana? Then he gets up on the stump and he says America was never as great as advertised. I mean, come on. This guy shouldn't be doing anything except running for dog catcher.
Yeah, well, and, I would have never known he was gay if that wasn't the number one thing on his ticket.
Oh, yeah. But there's the promotion factor for a lifestyle that they're trying to take from abnormal to normal and take over the forefront, and that really bothers me.
Yeah, one other thing, Cory Booker, and I wish I could remember the line that he said. He was going to go, and he was going to go to the Midwest and just get it all together for the farmers, and I'm thinking, when's the last time you were ever on a farm?
Oh, boy, would I like to see him climb up on a tractor or saddle a horse. That would be a comedy show that I'd pay twice for.
And while I got you on the phone, these Democrats keep saying, the border. Okay, when's the last time one of those went down there to the border and not taking the VIP tour?
Yeah,
the micro dirty jobs tour?
Yeah, you know something, lady? You've hit it spot on. I don't want an entourage to go down there with the TV cameras and all the press reporters and everything else. Yeah, I doubt seriously if in that particular location they're going to see anybody cruising across the border. I want them to go down there and go with the Border Patrol and be out in the thickets down on McClellan, Texas area, out in the thickets with the rattlesnakes and everything else at night, watching these people cross the border. Then come back and say there's not a crisis. This idiocy of going down there with an entourage, oh, whoop-de-doo, we're on vacation, let's stick our toe in the water.
Yeah, let's go on vacation down there and put on the boots and go out in the brush and the bugs and the sand and the heat and the rattlesnakes and do it for a week. And then you tell me that these Border Patrol don't need some help.
Amen. Thank you.
In the form of a wall of et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. Thank you for your call. God bless you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice lady right there, and spot on, too. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Berry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts. And they've got the Doosan, the big heavy equipment to get the job done for the dairymen and feedlot operators, everything else. Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, and they've got all the Bobcats and all the different sizes, and they've got 0% financing for 60 months on all the skid steers, mini excavators, etc. Oh, You don't know how to run one? Well, they'll teach you. They got a big sandbox right out behind. Barry Equipment and Rental. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location for the best Barry Equipment and Rental. Caller, I will be right there. Stand by, don't go away. Yours truly running a little bit late, as can usually be expected. I want to remind you about some folks that are going to be open on Easter serving you with really good food. That's, of course, Perkins Restaurant and Bakery at 800 North Overland in Burley. Oh, my. They say at Perkins they believe in being the best buds to your taste buds, and they're going to be open on Easter Sunday, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., and they're going to have a fresh strawberry entree to choose from. And it's kind of a strawberry festival at Perkins Restaurant. I love strawberries. I love strawberry shakes. I love strawberry pie. I love everything about strawberries. You're going to love it at Perkins, and they're located at 800 North Overland in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zebedee. How are you?
I'm peachy fine, thank you.
On your way to lunch bunch, be sure you dodge all of the potholes on Highway 30.
All right, I've got them all figured out, Bob.
And watch for the railroad crossings. We seem to be raising the gas tax money and everything, and we can't get no infrastructure done.
You know, and you know, Bob, that I put that on the air. You know that I've asked for people to call and explain why we have such a basketball approach to crossing over on the train crossings, etc., about knock your teeth out. And people just don't seem to care. People don't seem to want to respond. It's just like the pastors and the ministers in the area. Bob, in all seriousness, and I won't take any joking on this, this is Holy Week. This is Holy Week, from Palm Sunday all the way to Easter Sunday, with Good Friday, Monday, Thursday, etc. And I have asked and pleaded for pastors to be a part and come on the program. No call. No calls. Crickets. One pastor has had the nerve and the backbone to call.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the problem is either. But, Zeb, one other thing. If you're still wanting to know about a walk-in tub, like Terry Bradshaw, I've still got my water trough, and it's full of water.
Yeah, but it ain't heated, buddy, and I'm not interested. Thank you.
It is. It's heated.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a hot water heater in there to keep it from freezing. Have a good day, Zebedee.
All right, Bob. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I want to go back to this Bernie Sanders deal because I have not met anybody in this area. At least they didn't have the backbone to stand up and say, well, I believe that Bernie's right. I believe that we should be a socialist country. I haven't run into anybody. Have you? And Bernie, with his minimum pay jobs, he wants to see that all minimum pay jobs, flipping burgers or whatever, are living wage jobs. Boy, does that ever make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Dad.
Yes.
I have something that I can share with you. The pastor that is the pastor at my church is a retired Army guy. And I think maybe he would be a great guy to have on your show. And
well, then tell him to call me.
Okay. Well, I will, because I think that he would have some interesting things to say to help the audience out there when they think that nobody serves. Well, he served for many years, and now he's a pastor. I think it's amazing that he chose to give up a cushy retirement.
Yeah, but see, Chris, this is what I've been talking about for the last 3 weeks. And you know it's true. I have been talking about pastors and church leaders, reverends, jumping up out of their chair and saying, okay, I know that we've got social ills that we need to talk about from the pulpit. We can't run. We've got to try to help, whether it's the LGBT issues, whether it's the Muslim issue, whether it's the crime issues, whatever the issues are. There are many, many things that are being skirted by churches, and they're not being talked about because I think they're afraid of offending somebody. You call him, you get him my number, and you have him give me a jingle. I'll put him on the air. I absolutely guarantee it.
Okay, I will.
All right, thank you.
Hang up.
All right, thanks, Chris. Bye-bye. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. You can schedule a tune-up for your whole home comfort system, and if you're in the new market for a new one, a Lennox home comfort system, don't forget at Ramsey Heating and Electric, they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. I urge you to call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. Yeah, Bernie Sanders is such a hypocrite. Here he wants to tax people to give it away to other people, but he's unwilling to take his earnings and share them with other people.
Did you watch any of that last night?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I wish you could have seen it. Martha McCallum, you know who she is.
Yes.
Okay, she did a heads and shoulders better job than Brett Baer. Honestly, during the interview, Brett Baer would have been better off sitting in the audience. He looked like a deer caught in the headlight. He absolutely looked like he didn't want to confront Bernie. But Martha McCallum, on two different occasions, came right out and got in Bernie's face, which needed to be when it came down to Bernie's statement about free health care. And she said, Bernie, wait a minute. There is no such thing as free health care. Yes, there is. And then she backed him into a corner and he said, well, yeah, it'll be with higher taxes that'll pay for it, but when you go in for care, it'll be free at the door. Now, come on. You talk about hedging? That's hedging.
Exactly. Exactly. I'd like to see Bernie Sanders debate like a couple of the businessmen like on Fox Business.
Oh, absolutely.
Charles Payne and, and a couple other those guys that...
I'll tell you who would do a good job. I don't mean to interrupt you, but, you brought it up. I'll tell you who would do a good job of sitting there at the desk and leaning forward and looking old Bernie right in his gray-haired eyes, and that would be Maria Bartiromo. She would put him in his place and ask him where he parked his car and then leave Dodge City.
Exactly. She's good. I like her. Yes, she'd set him straight. But, these people are pushing all this stuff, the referendum for the reparation and all of their free stuff. It's the Democrats' typical campaign year promises.
Yeah.
They are trying to say you're a victim, we'll take care of you, so vote for us.
Yeah, now I'm going to ask you a question here. I'm going to ask you a question, then I got to do a weather forecast.
Yeah.
You were born and raised on a farm, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and proudly so. So was I. And not once, not one time during these conversations or the preliminaries leading up to the town hall or anybody else, whether it's Beto O'Rourke, Robbie, I'll call him, or Harris or Booker, any of them, not one time, and I'm going to make a wager with you to buy you lunch at Lunch Bunch Thursday. I'll bet you've never heard anyone, including Bernie Sanders last night in that town hall, say anything about where our food production will come from if they go with these absolutely stupid Green New Deals.
Exactly. How are you going to till the fields? We can't go back to the horse-drawn days because that would put everybody on a 40-acre piece, and it's a full-time job to do that with just a horse. So where are they going to get their food?
Yeah, well, not only that, but where are they going to find the fields? Because with the Green New Deal, they're going to take and just blanket America with the idiocy of the cancer sticks, the windmills. So what are you going to do then, my dear friend?
Yeah. And one other question on this Green New Deal, where they have to rebuild every building in the United States to make it efficient. What are they going to do with all of the scrap they get from tearing down the old buildings?
Well, see, this is the point, Doug. These nincompoops on the left, whether it's Kamala Harris or Bug-Eyed Booker, or whether it's Bernie Sanders himself or the radical little puppet queen, AOC, they come out with these absolutely insane ideas, but then when pressed about answers, they have none. Whether it's health care, well, it's going to be free. Well, yeah, but wait a minute, it's going to be higher taxes to where each individual taxpayer may see $20,000 in higher taxes. I don't know about y'all, but we just finished taxes yesterday, 15th of April. How would you like to absorb another 20 grand, my dear friend?
Well, first, I'd have to make it before I could absorb it.
Yeah.
But, you know, they just keep pushing this free stuff. And it's never going to fly. They're saying things to get people that are uneducated.
That's right.
To agree with them.
Well, and you know, what you said, Doug, I got to jump in again. The audience, when the camera panned over the audience last night and he was talking about free health care and supporting green energy and making minimum pay jobs, living wage jobs, the ones in the audience that the camera panned to were all under 30 years of age.
Yeah. But, you know, they talk about green energy. We've had green energy here in Idaho for years with our hydro.
Yep.
I mean, what does that causes no pollution, period.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have a great guest on again Wednesday, tomorrow, Gregory Wrightstone, and we're going to be talking about this. And I've got a chart. I wished I had time to share it with you this morning, but I do not. I've got a chart on the impact of fossil fuels on human health, and you're going to be shocked and staggered as to some of the things we're going to talk about on that chart. Doug, I have got to go. I'm at least 4 minutes late. I got to get a weather on.
Well, fossil fuels has improved
yes,
our living standard.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to leave you with one thing, and then I will do my senior deal. Just remember, the ultimate weapon is a self-educated mind.
There you go. There you go.
Everybody, let's take care of our senior centers. Let's support them. Go eat at them. Go have a yummy lunch.
Okay. Thanks, Doug. Hey, don't forget our weather forecast brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room in Rupert, and I urge you to call. There are many, many red flags of hearing loss, and if you've noticed over the maybe past month or so, you're going, huh, what, It might be something related to a disease. It could be with high blood pressure. It could be a heart condition. You better get in and get it checked. Absolutely. Get a hearing screening at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Number to call, 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like we're going to see a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. 30% chance of showers, a very slight chance, but other than that, partly sunny skies, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the west at about 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. We're looking at a high of 55 tonight. Nice and clear skies with a low of 36 tomorrow. Glorious sunshine, a little bit on the breezy side, expecting a high of 60, mostly clear for tomorrow night with a low of 39. By Thursday, sunny skies with a high of 67. By Friday, sunny and 76. Saturday, we do have a 40% chance of rain showers. That means the weather's going to be changing just a little bit. Partly sunny skies, high of 60. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, Gina, you do a great job. Thank you very much, and I urge you to work with some people that also do a phenomenal job regarding your hearing health. Get a hold of Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and the number to call for a hearing screening appointment today, 312-0957. Don't you dare put it off. You call them today. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Lunch Bunch coming up this Thursday at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Let's fill the place up. Everybody be there, looking forward to it. What else have we got cooking here this morning? Oh, very, very terrible fire. And it basically destroyed the famed cathedral in Paris, Notre Dame, and it almost burned to a completion yesterday. Sad story. The basic shell of the cathedral, more or less still preserved in this 850-year-old church. Wow. The wood, everything in there originally from the back in 850 years ago. And the French said yesterday, and President Macron of France said that they will rebuild it. And one of the things I didn't know about Notre Dame, that it took over 100 years to build that cathedral. So the original work crews that started on that cathedral never saw that church or cathedral come to fruition. And it's just sad during Holy Week of Easter to see this happen. And it's another nail in the coffin, I think, of Christianity. It's a sad note. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, another sad note is that New York State, I wouldn't want to live in New York State for anything. New York State is now advocating no drug tests for public or private jobs. In other words, if you're an employer and you've got a sign on your marquee that says help wanted, inquire within, you can't make these people in New York, if this goes through, to have a drug test. This is insane and absolutely, I think, is illegal in making decisions for business owners to hire only the best and most reputable. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi. I'm calling you back, and I can't even remember what I called you about the last time, and you wanted me to get more information. But if you travel to Boise and go into the town, there's a Cathedral of the Rockies.
Yes.
In that town, and it is a beautiful, beautiful church. And the people who put together their money and their plans and everything wanted it to be as close as they could get it to that cathedral.
Right.
That burned down. And I'll tell you, it's an experience to go in that church. It's just amazing.
You know, you're right on that. And also, we being this country, or for that matter, almost anywhere else in the world, we do not make the architectural challenges that they did in years gone by. And it's sad. It really is sad. This church that was built 850 years ago was an amazing structure. And by the way, the reason you and I talked the last time, you were going to call your minister, remember?
Oh, yeah. I forgot what I was even going to ask him.
All right.
But anyway, I just wanted a lot of people, and that church is open every day.
Yep.
I don't know if it takes one day off, but you can go in there and have the tour, and I don't think it's quite as big as the one in Europe, but it is a big church, and it's just glorious.
And there you have a tour guide that I agree with you. We should all go up there and see that. Chris, I got to run and do a commercial. Thank you. God bless. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations involved in a big spring tire sale. Yes, you can get the tires you need for your car, pickup, SUV, and save money. I mean, you can save quite a bit of money on some really top grade tires, like the Ultra Z900 for your car, or the Open Country HT for your pickups and SUVs. Oh my, and service always reigns supreme. Stop in and see them today for the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more, with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Yep, the best. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got 1 minute, real fast.
They hung up, sir, so you're all right.
That was fast. Thank you. Okay. Well, okay, what have we got cooking? Lunch Bunch this Thursday at 11:30 at Denny's Restaurant. Don't miss it. We really want you there. And we're going to give away a lot of door prizes, etc. Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Denny's. Thank you very much. Starts at 11:30 at 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. We will see you there. Coming up next hour, two really good guests. We're going to be talking about the wall on the border with Jennifer Lawrence, and then we're going to be talking about middle-class millionaires, how you can work and earn money and become wealthy. Clark Kendall's going to be on. Dr. History at 10:06, and then my dear friend, Dr. Gerard Lamero at 10:30. I'll be back in 6. And away we go. Hour number 2 on this day after tax day, April 16th. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations providing you a great big spring tire sale going on right now. Along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, Wheels, old buddy, can we have this word for Western Waste?
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and we're going to talk dumpsters today. You need a dumpster. Are you cleaning out your garage? Are you cleaning out the house? Are you cleaning out the attic? Are you cleaning out Zeb's office? Better get a big one. Big dumpster, little dumpster, medium-sized dumpster, they've got them. They can drop it off, you fill it up, and then call them and they'll come and get it. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them today, 734-6969. Want to remind you, don't forget Lunch Bunch coming up on Thursday at 8:30. 8:30. I don't know why I said that. 11:30. That'll scare the natives a little bit. At 11:30 on Thursday, Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant. Don't forget it. Hey, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis and Lorena, good morning to you. They've got all your electronics needs, and they've got the knowledge and the people there that can really help you. And they've got the video surveillance cameras, you know, absolutely very important for your property. And they've got home theater systems. And, of course, to really kind of deck out your four-wheeled wonder car stereos and speakers, all of this at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. When are they open? Thought you wouldn't ever ask. Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Stop in at Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. Really nice people.
Hey, sir.
Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask, do we have an alternate number for your guest this morning at 9:06?
I do not, and unfortunately, that's the only number that was offered for Jennifer Lawrence. And I'll tell you what, Deanne's out in the other room, and she'll call, and if you'll keep calling, we'll get something done, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, I have an opportunity. I also want to mention our dear friend Joel Heward over at Hanson Mortuary. Oh, they are really nice people. And they serve you and your family during a very traumatic time when there's the passing of a loved one. I urge you to get a hold of them today, and they always treat you and your family with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please remember Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, and that number to call, 436-5636. I'll repeat that again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert with Joel Heward, and Joel also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. All right, ladies and gentlemen, until we get our affirmation as to whether or not our guest is going to be with us this morning, I urge you to give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a jingle on the landline. Again, while I'm waiting patiently, or maybe not so patiently, for our guest to be on the program with us this morning, I'd like to remind you, too, about our friends over to Perkins Bakery and Restaurant, and that's, of course, at 800 North Overland in Burley. They always believe in being the best buds to your taste buds, and Burley's Perkins Restaurant will be open for your convenience and your dining on Easter Sunday from 6 in the morning until 10 p.m., and they're going to have a strawberry festival. Oh, delicious entrees with strawberries. You're going to love it at Perkins Restaurant, 800 North Overland in Burley. All right, now it's your turn. We were expecting, Deanne, if you can't get her, call that number, if you would, please, for Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know what happened, but she's not at that number. And Wheels is trying also, I believe, so we'll try to run her down. Any luck, Wheels, whatsoever?
I haven't. I had it ring this last time, but it just still goes to her voicemail.
All right, well, keep trying, old buddy. Keep plugging away. Thank you very much. Calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. That'll give us an opportunity to talk more about some of these other stories. This absolutely is ridiculous. Another story about what's going on with incompetent leadership back in New York State with Cuomo and the rest of them, and Big Bird, Bill de Blasio, is the mayor of New York City. New York wants this to go all across the United States. New York is providing, now listen carefully to this, $27 million to illegal aliens to go to college. But when asked about maybe helping some of the Gold Star family members that these young men and women have lost their parents serving our country overseas, none, nada, no money whatsoever was allocated to help those families and their students. This country, and New York State in particular, will give $27 million to help illegal aliens go to college, but they won't help one single Gold Star family. They will not help any American citizens' children go to school. Are you kidding me? Our citizens get a great big goose egg. But $27 million will be laid away in New York State to help illegal aliens go to college. Oh boy, hold me down. What are your thoughts on this? Why are citizens in this country taking a back seat? Why are citizens in this country being run over? Why are citizens of this country, taxpayers of this country, being ignored? Why? Because the left is more concerned about buying the votes of the illegals. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. Love to hear from you. Oh, and don't forget, on Mondays, we have a special segment on our program, Vicky's Country Garden. Green thumbs, dirty knees, and Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South 600 West DePaul. Don't forget that on Mondays at 10:32. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. I had a person call me yesterday, actually left a voicemail, and they were a little upset, evidently, about my support of vaccinations. Well, my support for vaccinations is not going to change. I have been an advocate of vaccinations. I think they're extremely important. I don't think one single child should be allowed to go through the front doors of any school unless they are vaccinated. Plain and simple. And I look at parents that absolutely are not taking care of their children by getting the vaccination programs for measles all the way down to polio. I almost think that's a form of child abuse. Measles cases in this United States are estimated to be on pace for a 25-year high. And yesterday on my program, we talked about over 1,200 people that had contracted measles died in Madagascar. What is it that these people do not understand? What is it that these people would subject their children to the possibility of very serious and deadly diseases? Why? Why? And when I heard stories over the weekend about certain parents taking on purpose, their children to what they call measles parties, to expose them to get the disease and hopefully get rid of it without any complications, that's child abuse. Those parents should be arrested and thrown in jail and throw away the key. What is it that's going on in this country that we make appeals to go get vaccinated and keep our society and our children as healthy as possible, and these parents ignore it and still send their children to school and be a danger to others? One of the things that really concerns me is that officials have confirmed that 555 cases of measles have already shown up in this country. That is up from 465 last week. What's going on here? What is going on? I'm really concerned about seniors because senior citizens may not have the immunity to these diseases as they thought they would when they were vaccinated years and years and decades earlier. And there was a little note that was on the news here not too many hours ago that said, check the immunity of certain diseases. If you were born before 1957, you may not be protected. We could see in this country a huge outbreak, a pandemic, if you will, of diseases starting all over again and just absolutely creating total suffrage with our senior citizens. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. It's an issue that I'm not going to weaken on. And just to let you know what I'm going to do, Representative Fred Wood had told me during the legislative session, Deanne, did you get any word from them at all on our guest? Okay, thank you. Evidently, she spaced it off and went elsewhere this morning, so we're not going to have her on the program. We had talked to Representative Fred Wood, and we're going to be doing a program. I hope we can get it on next week in regards to vaccinations and immunizations. And Fred said he would come on the program and talk about that subject with me, and we may even give it a full hour on this show. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, Zeb, you hit the nail on the head. All this is about is buying votes. Get all these illegals in here, get them on welfare, and they vote Democrat.
Yep.
I mean, this is the whole bottom line with all of this. So we give them the scholarships, ignore the people that have sacrificed, in many cases, their lives of the loved ones to defend our freedoms, and yet this hypocrisy, I hope, will make us deplorables even more vigilant as far as getting our friends and neighbors out to vote. But I guess the thing that concerns me the most is all the illegal voting that's going on. I mean, people that aren't citizens that are voting, and of course Judicial Watch, as you know, has won a suit in California to clean up their voting rolls because Hillary won the total election total in the presidential race because of illegal votes.
All right, wait a minute. Stop. Right. Whoa, Adrian, just a minute. You make a point. I've got to have a chance to come on and talk to you about it. You know as well as I do, and I know you agree with me, there is absolutely no reason, none, nada, for any person to go to the polls without proving who they are and having an ID. I don't accept anything but personal IDs. I don't think anybody else should be allowed. And this stifling the voter polls, that's ridiculous. If you don't have proof of who you are, stay the heck home and don't vote.
Well, what came to light in California was they used the voter rolls for jury selection.
Yeah.
And so they would call these people up and say, you're up for jury duty. And they said, well, I'm not a citizen. So it really tipped the hand, and this was going on. So Judicial Watch, I think, grabbed hold of that and found out that, so they're supposedly cleaning up the rolls, but I tell you, I don't trust those Democrats, any of them, as long as, pick them up, and the socialists along with, the bottom line is that they're trying to destroy the greatest country that God ever created.
That's right.
On the face of the planet.
That's right.
Because just, too Christian, we're too conservative, and we provide too much. And a lot of these people, I swear, have sold their soul to the devil to do the things they do.
Well, let me say this. Let me say this. A question, first of all. When was the last presidential election? Go ahead, answer the question. The clock is ticking.
Well, 2016.
Oh, okay. So it was roughly, as the calendar turns, it was a little bit more than 2 years ago. Well, when is the next presidential election?
Yeah, it'll be 2000, and we just have the
Just answer the question. When is the next election? It's 2020, right?
Right.
Okay, so we're right in the middle. That's a 4-year span. Anybody that gives you the argument of, well, I didn't have time to go get an ID, that is as bogus as snow on the beach down in Bahamas. It's absolutely not going to happen. You've got plenty of time to have the due diligence to be a citizen of this country and go get the wherewithal, the papers, and the identification so you can vote. I'm sick and tired of all the stupid excuses.
Oh, I am too, Zeb. Believe me, those of us that can have legitimate voting ID, you can't get on a plane without an ID. You can't do a lot of things without having an ID. Unfortunately, now they're allowing driver's licenses to be an official form of ID, and that in California. So they're going to get around it that way.
Yeah.
It's just sickening what's happened to this country, but the bottom line is they're trying to destroy the greatest country that God ever produced through our founding fathers, and we need to be vigilant, and freedom is not free.
Amen. I got to run, and I appreciate it, Adrian. Thank you very much. You touched on a subject that absolutely just makes me very upset about people not wanting to have IDs at the polling places. That's ridiculous. Hey, don't forget, when your air conditioner breaks down during a heat wave, well, maybe you'd better be calling Ramsey Heating and Electric along with Lennox with their home comfort systems. That's right. They're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system, or ask about the low monthly payment financing options. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459, or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, I'll be right there, I promise. Don't go away. I want to talk about a big spring clearance event. Bit my tongue. Doggone it hurts. Spring clearance event at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And they're located at 459 Overland in Burley, and they went to the warehouse and they said, wow, we're closing out a lot of items. By golly, limited quantities. Once it's gone, they're gone. Check out all the flooring closeout and all the mattresses. I mentioned yesterday, you can get a queen mattress that was $14.99, now just $5.49. Woo! Save money at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Stop in and see Jeff and the entire crew today at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. I was watching some of the excerpts, whatever the word is, the replays of Bernie Sanders' deal, and it shows him in that forum with Brett Baer, and like you say, he looked like a deer in the headlights there. But the thing that I noticed was when they asked people how many people have insurance paid by their employers, and quite a few of them in the room raised their hands.
Yeah.
And then they asked the question, how many of you would want to not pay anything? And they all raised their hand.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you, Keith?
Well, they want it all.
For nothing.
Or nothing.
Yeah.
It's just like the monkey that sticks his hand in the little knothole in the tree to get the peanuts, and he gets a whole handful, and then he can't get his hand out.
Yeah.
And, that's about the same thing.
But did you see what I meant earlier? Did you see what I meant earlier when I said that Brett Baer, and I like Brett, he seems to be a good news journalist, etc., but he didn't have the forcefulness to meet Bernie Sanders head on. And did you notice the body language? Bernie Sanders stood up and kind of hovered over Brett Baer and Martha McCallum. Number one thing I learned a long time ago is when somebody stands up at that kind of a function, you stand up. You meet them eye to eye. You never go at a lower level than they are because they'll have a dominant factor over you. And that's what Bernie tried last night. If I were Brett Baer or Martha McCallum, I would have stood up and looked him in the eye and said, Bernie, old buddy, old pal, you're dead wrong.
Okay, one advantage Bernie had last night was that he was old and he was determined. He doesn't have the right idea, but he thinks he does.
Well,
and age comes into play there because some people still respect age.
No, wait a minute. I didn't say about disrespecting him. Because I said that when somebody elevates themselves in a debate over you, and he was hovering over both of the moderators, McCallum and Baer last night, they should have stood up and met him head on. That's not disrespect. That is making sure that you're on equal footing. Nobody should ever go into a debate with having somebody lord over them, and they should stand up and compete in that fashion. They didn't do it, and he absolutely looks stronger.
Yes, but he's had a lot of years of experience of bullying people.
Well,
that's where he got to where he is now, because he is a bully.
Yeah, but the main thing is Fox News, Brett Baer and Martha McCallum, they goofed. They messed it up. Martha McCallum didn't mess it up as bad as Brett Baer did, but he let Bernie Sanders walk right up and hover over him and point his finger in his face. And right there, my dear friend, if you did that to me at Lunch Bunch, I'm getting up out of the chair, and I'm going to make sure that your finger does not point me in the chest ever again.
You're absolutely right. When somebody stands over you like that, they're in control.
Absolutely. Keith, got to run. Thank you very much for your call, as always. And by the way, you were late this morning. The alarm clock must have let you sleep in.
No. I had to go to the emergency room yesterday.
Oh.
I came down with vertigo.
Oh, I'm sorry. Really, I hope you're feeling better.
Well, I have an appointment tomorrow with rehabilitation
okay.
or whatever.
Well, you just take care of yourself, please, and we'll be checking on how you are later on today. Thanks, Keith. God bless you, man. Thanks.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, don't forget our friends at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, it's true. This is where the fun is sold. You want to go four-wheeling? Have you ever been four-wheeling? Do you have four-wheelers? Well, okay, all of the above. You need one? Okay, go get one. They've got a great selection over in their showroom. I don't know how they got all those in there. And if you already have one, you better get it serviced so that you can hit the hills and the trails in the not-too-distant future, because it's going to dry up, okay? You stop over to Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And also that service department, oh my goodness, they do a phenomenal job of keeping you running, and all the accessories, everything at Let's Ride. Stop over and see them today. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Yes, it's true. This is where the fun is sold. Absolutely. And real quick, some other good folks in that neck of the woods that are serving you, and we want to give a great big shout out to Cameron and Siemens Insurance. I really like these folks. They care, and they are responsive and dedicated to your needs, whether you need life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. For you, your family, and your business, they do the job. Please get a hold of them today. Make an appointment, 436-4424. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Let's go to the phone line right now, and hopefully this guest will be there this morning. We had bad luck in the last half hour, but we have a gentleman that has written a book that piqued my attention, and the title of the book is Middle Class Millionaire, Surprisingly Simple Strategies, I love that, to grow and enjoy your wealth. Well, come on in, Clark Kendall. How are you?
Great. Good morning, Zeb, and thank you for having me on your show. I'm honored to be on your show this morning.
Well, I appreciate it, Clark. I guess we've never met each other before. Tell me a little bit about Clark Kendall. And every time I say your name, I always have envisions that you're going to be changing your clothes in a phone booth and saving New York City.
Oh, yes. You're not the first person to tell me that. But I started off 12 years old cutting grass. Back in the 70s, had 12 yards, and after I bought a really cool Schwinn bicycle, I was putting the money in the savings account, and my dad introduced me to buying stocks. And when I was in middle school, he talked to me about things like dividend yield, return on equity, stock portfolios, even took me to a few shareholder meetings. So I've had a passion for the investment management business, and I have a passion for helping middle-class millionaires meet their goals and objectives.
Okay, I'm going to ask you if you could speak up just a little bit on your end. Clark, I'm going to ask a bunch of naive questions, and I'm sure you have the answers, but what do you personally think of this economy that we're living in right now for the last 2 years under the Trump administration and future growth? What are your thoughts about what is taking place now and what might take place if he's reelected?
Well, I do live just outside Washington, D.C., and I've lived here for my entire life, so I do follow politics on the nightly news, just like everybody else. I think the biggest thing for our economy right now has been the corporate tax cuts, not so much the individual tax cuts, but the corporate tax cuts have brought down the tax rate for corporations and make U.S. corporations competitive in the world market. And now we have GDP growing at 3.5%, unemployment's below 4%. More Americans are working than ever before, and I think that's great.
Clark, I got to ask you this question then. How? And I'm an old man, so you're talking to somebody that's a little long in the tooth and gray on top. How could anybody look at the Democratic nominees that are running for potentiality of being president and go along with this socialistic attitude like Bernie Sanders? Everything's free, 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 and bug-eyed Cory Booker and Kamala Harris and the rest of them with a socialism slant. You are a person that saw the advantages and worked through the advantages of capitalism to be what you are today. I did too. Why would we want to diminish capitalism and the striving to be better and do more?
You know, I think what makes America great is the opportunity that we don't have a class system, and anybody can come to this country, or you can work hard as a waiter or waitress, a teacher, a policeman, and do prudent savings, and you can make life better for your children and your spouse. It is a great opportunity. As you know, this morning Bernie Sanders released his tax returns, and I could spend 20 minutes with a person. If I look at their tax returns and their balance sheet, I can tell a lot from that person. Bernie Sanders made $560,000 last year. He's in the top 1%. And on his tax returns, he had no dividend income, so he owns no stocks. He took no distributions from an IRA account. He's 77 years old, so he had put no money into a retirement account at all during his entire life, and he only had $360 in interest income. And on top of that, he only gave $19,000 to charities. Only 3.4% of his income went to charities. So that tells me a lot about that person and person's character.
Absolutely. You know, when I watched that town hall last night, and it infuriated me as to the gullibility and naivete of the people that not only were in the room at the town hall, but others across the United States that think they can get a big piece of pie for a nickel or beg for it and get it free. In other words, free health care. Nothing is free. It takes a total nincompoop to believe something as fraudulent as that. And then talking about green energy and talking about all the minimum paid jobs that should be living wage jobs. I mean, good heavens, Clark, somebody's got to pay the bill.
Amen. Amen. You're preaching to the choir to me. But I do think what we need to do is talk about how that middle class can become middle-class millionaires.
And that was going to be my next point of changing. I wanted to kind of slide down the bowling alley and get right into it, is that middle-class people can try and they can be successful in America, and they might not be like Donald Trump, billions, but they can put away a little security blanket for the future, can't they?
They sure can. They sure can.
Now, give us kind of a brief. Yeah, we've got a delay here, Clark, and I'm sorry. I walked over you twice, and I didn't mean to, but we got a delay on the phone line. But give us kind of a chapter-by-chapter expose of your book as to how it might be worthwhile reading for everybody to think that there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, as I said, Zeb, thank you for having me on the show. I do think what I see from middle-class millionaires is they start very small. They start by rubbing two nickels together, and they found that by rubbing two nickels together, it turns into dimes. And when you rub two dimes together, it turns into dollars. And long-term, rubbing $2 together does make good sense. What I also found from middle-class millionaires, it's their heart is what makes the difference. Their heart is to help other people, and it can be putting money aside into a 529 plan so that their children can go to college. It's putting money into a retirement account so that they and their spouse could enjoy, a healthy retirement. It's buying life insurance to know that if anything happens to that individual, that their family is taken care of, or that they're giving to charities. So that's the key difference. And when someone has the right heart, then they can turn themselves from a middle class to a middle class millionaire.
I like that. Clark, do you find that, I don't know how old you are, but I know that when I was in high school and in college, there were many, many discussions about saving and investing, and they taught the various ways as to how we can stretch that dollar into more dollars and a more secure future. I don't see that or hear about that being taught today. Am I wrong?
No, there is. I call it financial illiteracy in our economy and in our society. We have the buy now mentality, but I come back to the strategy that if it's in your heart, to help somebody else, then what you find is you don't need a $5 cup of coffee every day, or you don't need the biggest pickup truck. You can forego those small things. And once you understand that makes a big difference down the road, it becomes very easy to do. And, if people are going to borrow money with their right hand through a mortgage or a credit card, if you're going to borrow money, at 10% on a credit card, with your right hand, you better make sure your left hand's investing it better than 10%. And if not, you should pay it off as quickly as possible.
Clark, let me ask you, let's go back to the starting point on the Monopoly Board of Life. And do we as a nation have the same work ethic that we did 20, 30, 40 years ago? And if not, how do we re-implement that work ethic so that people want to go out and be the best they can be?
That's a hard question as far as the mechanics. I think the key thing is not to give people stuff. I think we give them the education. We don't give them a daily meal. We give them a fish and a fishing rod, or I should say we give them a fishing rod and we let them go fish. One of the things I do I have 4 children, ages 17 to 29, so I'm mid-50s. And what I did for my children, every year at Christmas, I gave them some stock in the local utility company and the telephone company, and I taught them to appreciate the stock market, and we valued, and we had little portfolios, and they valued it, and they understood that what a difference investing makes, and how after the toys were gone, those stocks were still there, and it helped send one of my children to medical school.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In your opinion, Clark, and you're much more knowledgeable about this than I'll ever be, but if you apply the ideas, if you will, of socialism, like free health care, free college, free this, $20 minimum hamburger flipping jobs, all of this, wouldn't that be, in essence, almost the ruination of the stock market in this country and really kill a lot of the corporate job structure in this country?
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think what we need to do is we need to give people equal opportunity, but not equal outcome. I think everyone needs to have the same opportunity to be successful, but not have equal outcomes. And I think that's the key difference as far as the success of the nation. And people you got to take. We saw this in the 2008. If we take away the opportunity for people to fail, we take away also their opportunity to be successful.
Absolutely.
People want to be successful.
Absolutely. What about the stock market itself? I do not propose, nor will I ever say, that I've figured it out. I have done fairly well in the stock market. I've got a couple of little rules to live by, etc. But what about the stock market? Is it, in your opinion, still a good investment source?
I think it's a very efficient use of capital and capitalism in our economy. I do know that history will repeat itself. We do know that statistically the stock market drops, 5 to 8% every 13 months. We know statistically it will drop 10 to 15%, every 8 to 10 years, and it will drop 20%, quite frankly, every 20 years. So I think you can that can scare people when it happens, or you can sort of say that is an opportunity, and how can I take advantage of these opportunities?
What do you say to people if you address this in your book? And I don't know if you do, but young people, great, to try to teach them and try to get them to invest and be cautious and really work hard and plan for the future. But what do you do with old folks like me that maybe they didn't think too well about the investing of their money? Is it ever at a point where it's too late?
Well, remember, Colonel Sanders didn't start Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was 65 years old. And in my life, or my attitude, success is not a destination, it's the journey. And we're all on a journey. And to sort of say, I'm too old on that journey is a mistake. And whether you're 50, 60, 70, 80, there are still many things you can do financially to make a difference, not only in your lives, but in other people's lives.
What about in the title of your book, two words really stand out to me, and my engineer over at the station, if you'd turn him up just a little bit, please, I'd appreciate it, Wheels. Simple strategies. Now, those two words really kind of hung themselves up out on the marquee here. What do you mean, simple strategies? Give us an example, if you would.
Well, I think a simple strategy can be, quite frankly, is look at your mortgage. A big issue for people is, do I pay off my 4% mortgage, or do I invest that money? And as I said before, you're borrowing money with your right hand at 4%, but are you maximizing your retirement account? If you work for a corporation, a 401k, or a government, a 403b plan, or even an IRA account, instantly you'll have tax savings along those lines. So those are some simple strategies of what am I doing with my personal balance sheet. And the balance sheet would be the left side is your assets, the right side is the liabilities of what you own, and the difference is your net worth. And so I think you simply talk through those items as far as what am I doing. And, and I think, many people get it themselves over leveraged. They have too much debt to walk through those debt issues.
Your book, when they buy a copy of this book, read the book, what would you want them to take away when they close the last part of the book, the last chapter, close the cover? What is it that you want people to try to remember and then do in their life?
Well, as I mentioned, to have a heart to make a difference, and then I can start even with, as I mentioned before, with 2 nickels, I can rub those together, and it's a simple strategy as far as taking one step at a time. And I think also is the key issue is that you're in charge of your financial future, and having a stronger financial footing gives you more options to meet your goals and objectives, whatever those goals and objectives might be.
I just really have got to get a copy of this book, and once I do that, read it, I'm going to have you back. Where can the book be obtained?
The book is coming out, will be released in early June. You can go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble. You can buy it directly right online.
Absolutely. Well, I want to wish you a lot of success with this book. It's intriguing to me to have a person like you on with this book. It's called Middle Class Millionaire, Surprisingly Simple Strategies to Grow and Enjoy Your Wealth. Clark, I wish you the best, and I certainly hope you didn't mind getting on this old Rednecks program this morning, and I'd like to have you come back.
Great. Thank you, Jeb. It's been an honor to be on your show today.
All right, sir. God bless you. Thank you very much. Clark Kendall, and he's the author of a book. Yes, I don't say this all the time. I'm going to go get this book, Middle Class Millionaire, Surprisingly Simple Strategies to Grow and Enjoy Your Wealth. Right here in America, the land of opportunity. Absolutely, it still is. Right now, it's also the land of opportunity for the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you, I bet you. I was thinking about these guys earlier this morning, and ladies, over at Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. I bet my old buddy Lyden Crane, I wonder if he's really at his office this morning, or if he's sprawled out on the floor with a blanket over him and a pillow on the bottom of his chin and over the top of his ears going, "Don't bother me today," after tax day yesterday. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. Absolutely the best in tax planning and tax return preparation, business consulting, bookkeeping services, all of this and so much more. Please get a hold of them today. They really are the best and the most professional. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like we're going to see a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. 30% chance of showers, a very slight chance, but other than that, partly sunny skies, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the west at about 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. We're looking at a high of 55 tonight. Nice and clear skies with a low of 36 tomorrow. Glorious sunshine, a little bit on the breezy side, expecting a high of 60, mostly clear for tomorrow night with a low of 39. By Thursday, sunny skies, with a high of 67. By Friday, sunny and 76. Saturday, we do have a 40% chance of rain showers. That means the weather's going to be changing just a little bit. Partly sunny skies, high of 60. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebba Durant.
Did she say Friday, a high of 76 and sunny? Well, if that's the case and that does come to fruition, don't look for me. I'm going to be outside, either a horseback or doing something, I'll tell you that, but I'm not going to be anywhere near this office. I'm gone. Weather forecast brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. As I said, offices in Burley and Rupert, and they've been providing accounting services, the best of accounting services, to the Mini-Cash area for over 50 years. Absolutely the professionals, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I would love, and I mean that, I'd love to hear from some of our audience right now. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Love to hear from you. Again, I want to remind you, mark this on your calendar for this coming Saturday, April 20th, a benefit dinner for J.R. Strunk, a very, very good friend of ours, a good friend of this program, and a good friend to you. He has helped on many, many fundraisers for other people. This time, it's a benefit dinner for him. Very nice man. It's going to be at the Rupert Senior Center at 702 11th Street in Rupert from 4 to 6 p.m. on this Saturday. And they're going to have silent raffles and tickets and drawings. And please, for more information on this, contact my dear friend George Mass or Les Wilson. And that's the benefit dinner this Saturday at the Rupert Senior Center for J.R. Strunk. Please be there. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have a chart that I'd love to give the Times News and other sources of not really knowing what they're talking about when they criticize fossil fuel usage and also demonize it and say that we need to go with the Green New Deal. Facts are facts, and literally hundreds of scientists have written exposés about this. I'll just give you some of the fine points, and if you want to dispute this, then you'd better do your homework and prove me wrong. Fossil fuels are cleaner and produce fewer emissions than the fuels that they replace. That is true. Extreme cold kills more people than extreme heat. Absolutely the truth. And that's the Green New Deal. Oh, they want to have their hand on the thermostat. Oh, they want to control the temperature and cool it down. Well, think about that. Less extreme cold, but cold kills more people than extreme heat. Fossil fuels reduce the area's need to produce the energy we need. That is also true. And moving along, fossil fuels have lifted billions, with a B, of people out of poverty. Absolutely. And here's another point about the weather. Weather is less extreme in a warmer world. Less severe weather. Absolutely. Those are some of the points of interest by hundreds of scientists that really understand what's going on and not jumping on this climate change, global warming, we're going to die in 12 years. And Bernie Sanders said that last night at the town hall, and I about fell out of my chair. I mean, the man is not very smart. He came right out and said that he wants to see the Green New Deal because we're burning up. We are burning up, and in 12 years we'll be gone. It really offends me that politicians, could be this blatantly stupid, and they have the arrogance that they're going to play God. It's despicable. Absolutely despicable. And like I said, going back to a topic that they never, ever mention. Mark my words, you won't hear the Cory Bookers or the Bernie Sanders or the O'Rourkes or the Kamala Harrises. None of them. Oh, well, we've got to go with the green energy deal. Oh, yeah. But they never mention food production and agriculture. Never. And when they start talking about cooling down the climate, they're talking about, the curtailment of agriculture and food production? Evidently. These people are not, underline the word not, very smart. Right now, I'm going to tell you about some friends of ours. Pardon me, a little frog in my throat this morning. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I want to remind everybody about our friends over at Magic Valley Irrigation, and they're located at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Telephone number to call Jeff and the crew, 678-1301. I'll repeat it, 678-1301. And believe me, they've been offering irrigation system service and repair for a long time, since 1978, and they can also manufacture the wheel line elbows. Get a hold of them today. Specialists serving you at Magic Valley Irrigation. Hello, Jeff at 44 East, 500 South of Burley, 678-1301. Caller, I've got exactly 1 minute.
Yeah, well, they said that 12 years ago that we were going to be done.
Oh, yeah.
We're still here, and so, now it's another 12.
Well, they re-upped. They re-signed. They went for another 12. Man, they're hitting for 24.
Yeah, and so, it's all a hoax, and they're all trying to scare us. But I think you hit it on the head, and maybe you didn't mean to on purpose, but when you said, when it's colder, people don't live as long, and I think that's the whole thing. They're wanting to get rid of us.
Well, okay, fine. I did mean what I said, and I have proof to back it up that colder climates are not healthy. You're looking at all sorts of different colds and ways to die, if you will, and warmer climes enhance food production, and they're better for people. They're happier. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out, but I guess the left is not smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah, and so, I know you said that, and I agree with you. And so, by having it colder, that's their way of trying to get rid of it.
I would love to see Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and others just go sit in a walk-in meat freezer for the whole day and then come out and go into 75 or 80 degree temperatures and tell us which one they'd rather prefer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care. Have a good day. Thank you. As a matter of fact, I probably wouldn't want to open the door and let them out. Anyway, we're going to take a listen to the news next from CBS. They'll come in and mess up everything we've put together. We'll be back in 6. Here we go, storming around the corner into hour number 3, and it's one of my favorite days, Tuesday, because we get a chance to visit with a dear friend. What was your name again? Oh, Dr. History's on the program in just a moment. Don't forget, Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a big spring tire sale coming on right now. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Don't forget, again, I want to remind you, Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Lennox, offering great home comfort systems. If you're in the market for a new Lennox home comfort system, they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. Contact them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. And terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Also, a job that you don't want to do. No way. Doesn't make any difference what time of the year. You don't want to be out there pumping a septic tank. Dr. History tried it once and said never again. And you don't want to be out there with all the liquid waste removal and the sewer and sink drain line cleaning. Oh, no, but he got wise and called Dino's Septic Service like I urge you to do. Dino's Septic Service, they've expanded their business to better serve more great people. Call them at 436-6526 or in Burley at 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Dino's Septic Service. You get a hold of them today. Real quick, don't forget, too, that on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, sponsored by A Child's World at 1308 Overland and Burley. They've been our major sponsor for that great segment every Thursday at 10:10, Cassia County School Days and A Child's World. Good morning, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you doing today?
Are we headed to the Klondike again?
You know what? We are.
We are.
You liked that so much last week.
Well, you know, it's an intriguing story about, what was the name of the staircase?
The Golden Staircase.
Golden Staircase.
Going up the mountain.
I sat, and I'll bet you I thought about that story last week after you left and I got off the air. You know, the courage, the perseverance, the dedication, and I'm going to also add the stupidity of people going up into the Klondike.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about a different route today. And this one is going to kind of tear at our hearts just a little bit, okay? Because we're going to talk about a place called the White Pass.
Okay.
All right? Also called Dead Horse Pass.
Ooh.
All right? So here we are, the town of Skagway. You know, there wasn't much law enforcement at the time. It was just a lawless town. A lot of people, you know, thieves and murderers, stuff like that. But it was still a lot of guys that were just headed to the Klondike to pan for gold or get gold. Mm-hmm. But the pattern was set early in August when a Frenchman was caught stealing from a cache on the White Pass Trail. A committee was elected to deal with the offense, and deal with it they did. They lashed their prisoner to a pole right in front of his tent, and they pumped him full of bullets. They left his body hanging there for 3 days as kind of an object lesson to anybody coming along if they thought that stealing was a good thing.
You mentioned on the last program that someone had stolen something from a pile of goods that had been left on the Golden Staircase?
Well, yeah, it was along the path, and so they just took everything he had and sent him on his way, and nobody helped him because the word passed down, do not help this guy, he's a thief.
Yeah.
So Skagway, you know, we talked a little about this last week. The ships, they kept coming in and in, hundreds of boats, from big freighters to little canoes to little creaking boats. And then they had little boats that shuttled from the boat to the beach back and forth because the boats actually, the bigger ones, that were actually quite a long ways out from the shore. Now, each incoming ship was forced to anchor about a mile offshore and to dump the men, outfits, and animals into the water. Now, horses were actually swung from the decks in special boxes whose bottoms opened, and it just dropped the horse, plunging and kicking into the water. They didn't gently lower him down, but trunks and packing cases were dropped into the waiting boats, and a lot of times these were actually smashed. They were just in a hurry to get everything off, so they weren't really careful.
And I don't suppose they had any insurance companies.
They didn't have a lot going for them.
Yeah.
And when they got to shore, they just threw everything onto the gravelly beach, and sometimes they were lost, sometimes they were stolen. Now, another thing, kind of like the California Gold Rush, when boats came in, the captains struggled to keep their crews because some of these crewmen, when they had ulterior motives, they knew that when they got to Alaska, they were going to jump ship.
Okay, so then what about being shanghaied? Did the crews or the captains try to get people?
Up there, not so much that I know of. Now, California, they did in San Francisco. But, you know, all the world had suddenly heard about Skagway. In fact, a San Francisco newspaper likened Skagway Bay to that of he says, like a nest of ants stirred up by somebody with a stick.
Oh,
just
my.
Thousands of people. But the beach had truly become a human anthill. In fact, it was a mess, a confusing mess.
What about the sanitary conditions and living conditions? I mean, how dangerous was it to live there health-wise?
Not good. That's why you wanted to head out as quick as you could and not stay in Skagway.
Really?
I mean, think of this. Thousands of men, horses, mules, oxen, people with all their gear, a jungle of tents and sheet iron stoves, boats upside down on just a mess. Mountains of goods and hay. They actually brought hay in for some of the horses and mules.
Wow.
So on top of these sprawling heaps, the men would yell out the names of every outfit and toss them down to the waiting owners. And the most far-sighted of the stampeders had already organized themselves into landing committees to rope off areas to guard their stacks of goods at gunpoint. So they had already formed some partnerships.
I see.
And put a rope around, maybe 5 or 6 of you, and one guy would stand there with a gun, make sure nobody came.
It was almost impossible for one person to make it.
You had to have partners.
Yeah.
At least one, anyway. But now Skagway was kind of is on a narrow neck of the Panhandle, and it formed kind of an American bridge into Canadian territory. So you had to get into Canadian territory and get down the river to the Klondike.
Through Skagway.
Right, or Dyea. I mean, there was other ways, but Skagway was one of them. So night and day, the beach was never still. Rubber-booted men in constantly shifting streams were forever dragging their outfits across think of this, the tide, the mud, in an effort to get above the high water line. Now, the extreme rise and fall showed a difference of 30 feet. Of tide. 30 feet. It would get that much deeper when the tide came in. And the onrushing waters advanced at such a speed that a lot of them, returning to their stacks of provisions, found that they'd been totally submerged in the salt water.
So if the tide normally, and I'm trying to remember when I was in Spain, I think the tide's out for about 5 or 6 hours at the most.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
And that would be like a window of opportunity for them to get everything off the beach.
And I'm sure some of them eventually figured out, okay, we've only got, 3 hours or 4 hours to get our stuff in.
And it's gone.
Yeah. But above the beach, the town of Skagway was still taking shape. There were shacks and tents crammed with men that were just so anxious to get over the trail into the Klondike before things froze up. So there was a big rush, a big hurry to get over there.
What was it like? Maybe May through, August?
Yeah. Or into the fall. You didn't want to go too far before things froze up.
Yeah.
But, the main street was nothing more than a single rut of black mud down which, the river of men and animals just constantly flowing. There were 4 makeshift saloons along the route. There were campsites that rented at $10 a week. There was a blacksmith shop, and it cost $5 to have a single horseshoe hammered on. There was a doctor's tent serving as a drugstore and a restaurant. So it was a mess of people.
The care of the livestock intrigues me, though, because you said they had to freight all the hay in.
Well, yeah, they didn't have much as far as feed.
Any
for
forage
up
there?
Some, but they still had to supplement it. So now picture this, 3,000 pack horses were there at this time, loaded as high as they could load them. And this is where, to me, it gets a little sad, Of all the routes to the Klondike, the Skagway Trail across what they called White Pass, more than any other, brought out the worst in men. And there's none who survived ever forgot it, and most who remembered it did so with kind of a sense of shame and remorse. It looks so easy, a jaunt through the rolling hills on horseback, not much more. I mean, that was the vision they had going into this, that, hey, I'm just going to get on a horse, I'll pack my stuff on a horse, just go through this easy ride and get my stuff up there.
Yeah.
There's a guy by the name of Frank Thomas of Plymouth, Indiana, and he expressed his feelings when he wrote this letter from Skagway, and this was in the early fall of 1897, so he was getting close to the end of when he could make it. Here's what he said. I am a few days older than when I left, and a great deal wiser. I have been working like a slave since I came here, trying to get over the trail, and am not over yet. And furthermore, do not think I will be in time to get down the Yukon this winter. Since I came, we have lost our mule and 1 horse on this accursed trail. This is the most discouraging work I ever did. There are thousands of people here, all mad and crazy just like us. I am undoubtedly a crazy fool for being here in this God-forsaken country, but I have the consolation of seeing thousands of other men in all stages of life, rich and poor, wise and foolish, here in the same plight as I.
How long was the distance mileage-wise?
To get on the White Pass, it was 40 miles.
40 miles, and it took how long?
Well, it just depends on, how quick you could get over it.
Oh, my
So, it
goodness.
took days.
So you had to wait in line.
Yeah. So the trail on which Thomas found himself was a 45-mile switchback that plunged through bog and mire, over boulders and shale, cliff sides, crossed and recrossed rivers, leapfrogged mountains, and followed the canyon, valley, summit, and slope until it ended on the crescent beaches of Lake Bennett, where the Yukon River had its beginnings.
Wow.
So whether you climbed the Golden Staircase or you took the White Pass, your goal was to get over to Lake Bennett so you could get a boat or a raft or something and follow the Yukon River down to Dawson.
You know, one thing that really hits me is they're really alone. They're up there, and if all of a sudden health reasons, broken leg or whatever, what are they going to do?
Yeah. Now, last week I talked about the Dye Trail that led directly to the base of Chilkoot and up the Golden Staircase in kind of a single leap. The Skagway Trail, or the White Pass, had a series of obstacles. Its beginnings were kind of deceptive. Actually, it started out as kind of not a bad wagon road that led for several miles over flat timber and swampland. Then began the series of hills, each hill separated by a mire. I mean, you can imagine going across back and forth the soggy riverbed, and is zigzagged by some narrow paths and mountains.
Do you have any pictures of the trail itself?
I don't, but I've got a picture I'll show you here in a minute about the White Pass. First of all, as you headed out, there was a place called Devil's Hill, and this was slate cliffs, the path only 2 feet wide.
2
feet? You and I have been in the mountains and crossed slate, and it's scary. You don't want to get a horse off the trail in slate. But it wound like a corkscrew, and where a single misstep by a badly loaded horse could mean death.
2 feet?
Yeah. A sheer 500 feet below. I mean, we're talking the side of a mountain.
We're not talking me there.
No. And next there was a place called Porcupine Hill, and it was what they call a roller coaster ride where the animals must pick their way between 10-foot high boulders. Then came a place called Summit Hill, 1,000-foot climb, sharp rocks that tore at the horses' feet, and slabs of granite barred the way, mud holes actually swallowed sometimes animals, packs and all.
You know, the thing is, these horses that were on these pack animals and also saddle horses, they probably had never seen or been subjected to anything like that.
Well, yeah, some of these horses had never been broke. Okay, now one more mountain pass blocked the way before Lake Bennett, and that was when you finally got there, then you were okay. Now, of the 5,000 men and women who attempted to cross the White Pass in the fall of '97, only the tiniest handful reached their goal in time to navigate the Yukon River before it froze up.
What did the rest of them do?
I don't know.
They stayed there?
Either went back to Skagway or holed up for the winter somehow. But the slow movement over the pass, you picture this, those in the front struggling, followed by a line of stragglers. And you picture this, Zeb, it's not the best of weather up there. Raining all the time, the mud, the cold, the rain. And again, the trail was not wide enough to allow 2 animals to pass.
Well, I was just going to say, what about somebody coming back down?
That's their problem. They've got to figure out a way to step aside so people can keep going up.
How do you do that? 2 feet?
Yeah. So
with my crutches, I need at least 4.
So, time and again, all the movement ground to a stop. There, people would stop and build a fire, and these shivering men, they were haggard, they were dazed, they were tired, and they were waiting for the human chain to resume its movement up the hill. Because if somebody up front got in trouble, they had to just stop and wait for them to get things going again. So during these delays, the horses for miles back had to stand, oftentimes for hours, with these heavy loads pressing down on their backs.
And they couldn't move.
Because no one would chance unloading them in case movement suddenly resumed, and an animal might remain loaded for 24 hours. So
I am absolutely astounded because, you talk about this, if a mule or a horse decided all of a sudden that it was going to turn around.
Yeah. What do you do? Yeah. But, this is one reason why scarcely a single horse survived the 3,000 that were used to cross
Are you kidding
the White
me?
Pass in '97, 3,000. So here was this, it was really the shame of the Skagway Trail. Many of these horses and mules were ready for the glue factory when they were brought out of Victoria or Seattle at huge prices, and while others had never been broken or felt the weight of a pack. So few of the men, picture this, few of the men who stampeded to the Klondike had ever handled a horse before. So it was not unusual for 2 partners to spend an entire day trying to load a single horse. By the time they reached the summit, the horses that had fetched $200 in Skagway were not worth 20 cents.
Well, now, just a second here. These horses that went up there, what about the equipment and the packs if they went off the edge? You said very few of them ever made it. It's gone forever.
Pretty much. I'll talk a little bit about that, yeah. But the Klondikers, they just wanted to get across the mountain at any cost. And the cost always included the life of that animal. So when you talked about them coming back down, probably none of them could come back down.
And that was the only way?
Well, no, there were other ways to get there. But like I said, the Golden Staircase, or there was other ways to get to the Klondike, but this was one way that they did, the mountains.
To me, I'd be scratching that off the list.
Yeah. But, a quarter of a mile from the Canadian border, each owner performed kind of a grisly rite. He carefully unloaded his pack animal and then smoothed the blanket over its back to conceal the running sores, or what we would call saddle sores, that most horses suffered at the hands of these amateurs that didn't pack them right. The mounted police would shoot a sore or injured horse on sight if it was brought across the line into Canada.
Wow.
Now, you and I have both seen saddle sores on horses.
Yeah.
You don't even saddle a horse until that's healed up and doing okay.
I know.
And you doctor it,
Oh, my
There's a guy by the name of Samuel H. Graves. He would never forget the day that he passed a horse that had a broken leg a few minutes before at a point where the trail squeezed between two big boulders. And he says the horse's pack had been removed and someone had knocked it in the head with an axe, and then the traffic was resumed directly across the still warm body. When Graves returned that evening, there was not anything of the carcass left because of the people walking over and over and over it. All you saw was the head and the tail on each side of the trail.
Well, can we be a little bit more gruesome?
Okay, all right, here you go. A veteran horseman by the name of Major Walsh, he was an officer of the Northwest Mounted Police, and he crossed the trail that fall with the government party and was horrified at what he saw. Quote, he says, such a scene of havoc and destruction can scarcely be imagined. Thousands of pack horses lie dead along the way, sometimes in bunches under the cliffs, with pack saddles and packs where they have fallen from the rocks above, sometimes in tangled masses, filling the mud holes and furnishing the only footing for our poor pack animals on the march.
Oh.
The inhumanity which this trail has been witness to, the heartbreak and suffering so many have undergone, cannot be imagined. They certainly cannot be described. And that was his description.
Real quick, a question. If they lost their pack animals and all the goods that they needed to survive, the food, the pans, the cooking utensils, everything, what did they do? Just turn around and walk back?
What would you do? You couldn't keep going because
you're talking about thousands of guys. You'd think the guy would say, oh, boy, if they're not going to make it, I'm not even going to try.
Right. I mean, what would you do? You couldn't keep going. You'd have to turn around.
My.
So there's another guy, and he was one of the several stampeders, and he reported that the tortured animals were actually trying to commit suicide rather than negotiate the trail. He insisted that he saw an ox trying to fling itself over a cliff. A similar incident, a horse walked over the edge of Porcupine Hill, and every man who witnessed the incident swore it was suicide, that this horse just had it and just stepped off the cliff.
500 feet.
Yeah. So I know, the horses, they say, died like mosquitoes on the first frost, and from Skagway to Lake Bennett, says they rotted in heaps. Jack London wrote, they died at the rocks, they were poisoned at the summit, and they starved at the lakes. They fell off the trail, what there was of it, and they went through it. In the river, they drowned under their loads or were smashed to pieces against the boulders. They snapped their legs in the crevices and broke their backs, falling backwards with their packs.
Oh, my.
In the sloughs, they sank or smothered in the slime. Sorry, Zeb, this is the way it happened. And I know it makes you and I sick. They were disemboweled in bogs where logs turned up in the mud.
Oh, my.
Men shot them, worked them to death, and when they were gone, went back to the beach and bought more.
That for
some
gold.
Did not bother to shoot them. They stripped the saddles off and the shoes, and leaving them where they fell. Their hearts turned to stone, they say. The men on Dead Horse Trail. Well, then it says within a month the trail was almost impassable, and by September everything came to a stop. It was too frozen over. But by this time, it was obvious to all that no one else was going to reach the Klondike that spring. Thousands were already in retreat. You asked about that. They're already heading back to Skagway. And so they're trying to sell their outfits, which were strewn along 40 miles of packed stuff all along the trail, people wanting to sell them, which they probably couldn't sell. And there were all these outfits with signs saying for sale. Now, men had been willing to pay a sum to reach Lake Bennett. Some have given 50 cents a piece simply to use a log that one guy had flung over a stream so they wouldn't have to go through the stream. He put a log across it and charged them like 50 cents a piece. So
this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, it needs to be told because that was the inhumanity and the frailties of mankind during that era.
Let me show you those pictures, yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Again,
that's down below the cliff of the trail?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness sakes.
Again, you and I are horse lovers to no end.
I don't even want to look at that one. My. Doctor history. Woo! It was a different time, wasn't it?
I kind of didn't want to tell the story, but I thought, you know what? It's what happened at the time.
Yeah, really.
Hopefully never, ever, ever happens again.
Absolutely.
Like
Dr. History, thank you. Stand by. I'll be right with you. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. And don't forget to schedule a tune-up for your whole comfort home system. Absolutely. And if you're in the market for a new one, Lennox Home Comfort Systems through Ramsey's, they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. Call them today at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, or go to their website, ramseysonline.com. Terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details at Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. We're going to send this back over to our main studio for a couple of minutes, and I'll be back. Zeb at the Ranch.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, my goodness sakes, good to have you back for our last half hour. We're on the home stretch, and of course we'll have our next guest with us momentarily. I want to remind everybody about the Minnetonka Chamber of Commerce Big Women's Expo coming up on April 24th at the Burley Best Western Inn and Convention Center, starting at 9 in the morning, going till 4 in the afternoon. Hidden gems, explore, engage, empower. Wives, leave your husband at home. Let him take care of the kids. You go to the Women's Expo, and don't forget, stop at the Chamber office. Tickets are only $20, which include lunch. Going to be a fun day at the Women's Expo on the 24th. Sponsored by Idaho Central Credit Union, Intermountain Cache Regional Hospital, Wright Physical Therapy, and Tailored Living. Don't forget, Minnetonka Chamber of Commerce Women's Expo on April 24th. A very dear friend to this program, and I always look forward to having him on the show because he gives a very straightforward approach as to what he thinks is going to happen politically, and he's pretty much spot on. He's an author of the books called Great News for America and More Great News for America, among other books, and I'd like to introduce my friend, Dr. Gerard Lamero. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I hope you're doing well, too.
Absolutely. Sir, it is my pleasure to have you on the program, and I think we'll start off right now to where I'm a little worried, Dr. Lamero, and I want to see if you can quell my fears, and I'm very concerned of the acceptance and the growing numbers of acceptance of Bernie Sanders, socialism, and the Democratic mantra. Am I wrong to be afraid?
Well, you certainly are entitled to any of your fears and concerns. I just call it you might be a little worried. But I will tell you, the American people aren't worried about it. They're voting against socialism. We can almost be guaranteed the person running on the Democratic Party is going to be a socialist because everybody's talking socialism. And President Trump is smart enough to let people know that they're talking about socialism. He's going to fight about socialism, and the American people are going to reject socialism. None of those people have the support of the American people, they're not going to come close to beating Donald Trump. It's going to be a walk-away, easy election victory. And you know what else? Not only is the Democrats talking socialism, but their leadership in the Congress, like Nancy Pelosi, are not the old Democrats of old. She's letting the young Democrat socialists take over, and that means it's going to be an easy victory in the House as well. Because Trump is not only, after getting reelected, he is now moving on the House leadership and the House Democrats because he wants to take the House back to Republican control, and not only Republican control, but this time around, it's going to be conservative, because we got rid of the incumbents who were liberal.
Wow,
I'm talking about Republican incumbents.
You just said a lot in a very short period of time, and I'm going to try to break it down a little bit and ask you questions about what you said. Number one, I see every day on the news the liberal Democrats, be it Bug-Eyed Booker or whether it be Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, whomever, all espousing the Green New Deal or the free Medicare and health care for everyone in this country. But when you break it down, like what I saw last night on the town hall meeting with Bernie Sanders and Fox News, when you break it down, there is no such thing as a free lunch. There is no such thing as free health care, free college, etc. Somebody, some group of somebodies have to pay for it. Why, in your opinion, is the American public, not all of them, but a large percentage, gullible enough to think that it's all free?
Well, you know, the lies are things you'd like to believe. You'd like to believe somebody's going to pay for all your medical care. You'd like to believe they're going to pay for your cell phone. You'd like to believe they're going to give you everything for nothing. The reality is that when you give people the facts, they're not stupid. They have a lot of common sense. The American people have tremendous common sense. And they know that somewhere it's going to have to come out of somebody's checking account, and all they have to be is explained, the situation and the fact that you run out of money sooner or later. You can't borrow it from the Chinese because they're up to the limits on how much they want to loan us, and people realize there's no free lunch. They also have to learn, and they are learning, as people, as Trump comes out and talks and others talk, and that is the big S in socialism. The big S, the letter S in socialism, stands for shortage. If you promise everybody everything, what happens is nobody gets everything. Nobody even gets what they need. The people in Canada have to drive down, and you may even know it, they may drive into your state. And they often drive down into America to get health care because they can't wait 6 months for a CAT scan or an MRI or an operation. There are people waiting 6 months to get urgent heart surgery. And people die waiting in these socialist countries.
Dr. Lamero, there again is another concern that I have with the rhetoric and the blatant disregard for the truth that comes from the Democrats regarding insurance companies and free-for-all Medicare. What about the companies themselves? I maintain that competition in any and all facets, whether it's healthcare, whether it's the auto industry, whatever, competition breeds for a better business world and also better business and better luck for the consumer in general. What about the loss of insurance companies that may go by the wayside thanks to this stupid socialistic thinking?
Well, if these people were to get in power, which they're not going to get in power, these Democrats running for president, they would put all the insurance companies out of business. They'd probably make it illegal to be an insurance company, and that would be the end of the insurance companies, and that it would also be the end of our health care. Because the government can't do anything, can't do everything for every person, and there's no competition. We know from studying economics for years and years and years, and that when you have competition, you get innovation, you get lower costs, you get more efficiencies. There's so much benefits, so many benefits to competition, and the government single payer has no competition. There's no incentive to do the job well, and all their bureaucrats can do is make up more rules to get in the way of people getting health care.
Dr. Lamero, in your opinion, to use my thinking on this as far as a comparison with the Democratic Party, I look at the Democratic Party and it seems like a melting ice cube. Here today, very possibly gone tomorrow. I see a diminishment of leadership power with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and very unfortunately, leadership being taken over by the likes of a 29-year-old puppet, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. What are your thoughts about the party itself?
Oh, well, I've been saying since 2015, that's the first time I wrote it, that the Democratic Party was basically going downhill in a hurry. And they continue to do that, and I think they're on their way out the door. I think they're going to shut down. You know, the American system, okay, does not say Republicans and Democrats will exist forever for 400, 500 years. Parties come and go. The Know-Nothing Party, you never hear about. The Whig Party, they elected several people president in the 1800s. You don't hear about the Whig Party. I think the Democratic Party has all the earmarks of a party about to shut down. And when I wrote about it at first, I said I can't tell you the exact date because it's hard to pick a date it's going to shut down. But right now, I think it's going to shut down in 2021. The year after the next presidential election. The reason I say that is I think the socialists have essentially taken over the party. They're going to be a socialist party in essence, whether or not they call themselves that, in 2020. It's going to cause their defeat in the House. It's going to cause a landslide election for Trump. And in the Senate will be much more conservative than it is today because several people are not going to run for re-election and several new conservatives are going to run. And I think that's going to be the finish of the socialists. They're going to be a minority party that essentially has nothing to do but go out of business. I think they'll go out of business, and I think people like Bernie Sanders will join the Socialist USA Party.
There's another problem that I worry about, and I want you to talk about a little bit this morning. And I'm going to be very blunt. I am very concerned and, yes, worried about the Islamic and Muslim influence within our houses of Congress. And the likes of Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib and others. And they seem to be now a protected species. You can't complain about them. You can't talk about them. And it seems like the Democratic Party has drawn a circle of a wagon train around to protect them and have even demonized Donald Trump for his remarks about Omar, saying he thought it was very calloused about what she said about 911. What are your concerns about Islamic influence in our government?
Well, I think it's there are people in this country who are basically on that side. You know, she was a Somali person who, they sought asylum in the U.S. Her family basically wanted to come here because they thought it was a safer place. They got here, and now they're rejecting us. And that's part of the problem with them not assimilating. I mean, most people in our history, they came to the U.S. because they want to get freedom. They want to start a little business maybe, or they want to open up a bakery or some little store. And that's why they came, and they did great. These people basically are coming, but they want to bring their old world ideas into our country. And guess what? People here don't want Sharia law. They're happy with the Constitution. They don't want people criticizing our country because we're standing up for our rights. So the answer is there's a few people out there, no doubt about it, but they're going to turn around and lose office when people find out where they really stand. And when they're against us putting the embassy in Israel in Jerusalem, when they're against us taking actions to protect our citizens, they're going to be criticized. And you know what? Trump is smart. He called a spade, and he criticized it, and the Democrats may not like it, but I don't think that bothers Trump, and it doesn't bother his supporters, and it doesn't bother the typical American voter who votes American. They don't vote Somali.
I've got to ask you, I thought that it was a good play by the Trump administration and President Trump himself this past week to say, okay, all right, you won't tighten up the border security. You won't let me have the money from my wall. Okay, those that want to come in here, I'll tell you what, we'll just dump them in sanctuary cities and you take care of it. All of a sudden, the Democrats go, oh, not in my backyard, and they're all upset about it. What are your thoughts about that ploy to maybe put the shoe on the other foot?
I think it was brilliant. Trump is a smart gentleman. And I think that was brilliant because he said, "Oh, you want all these sanctuary cities? You want to protect them? You want to take care of them? You want to not deport them, even if they commit murder or crime? Okay, that's great. We'll ship them all to your city because there's nothing that says I can't send them there. I don't have to send them to, some little county somewhere in the country." I don't have to send them to Rupert, Idaho. I don't have to send them to Boise, Idaho. I can send them to San Francisco. And the liberals, the socialists, are going wild. But you know what I think, Zeb? I think that he doesn't really plan to do it. I think this is a tactic to say, okay, I'm going to play hardball with you guys. So he's going to try to get them to give him what he wants and solve this problem once and for all.
You have long been known as the Nostradamus of political elections, and you very, I wished I could have your luck in Las Vegas. You've been right to the forefront on predicting things. Will something be done on the wall and the building of the wall in various places before the 2020 elections?
Well, I'll give you my prediction, my forecast. And the forecast is 100% yes.
Okay, on what do you base that on with all the bickering that's going on right now?
Well, for one thing, the Pentagon last week issued a contract to do it. And it turns out they do have money. There's nothing that can stop, there's nobody who can stop the president. Even the courts can't stop him from spending some of the money. They can stop him from spending other of the money. And there's a brilliant American company that has come up with a cheaper way to build the wall, much lower price than originally thought, and good old American ingenuity is going to help build that wall, and it may not be finished before the election, but a lot of it is going to be built. They're going to have pictures of it in ads. They're going to have Trump ads for president. They're going to show pictures of him building it. And it's going to look great, and it's going to be part of his landslide victory.
One other point that I wanted to have you comment on this morning, sir, my dear friend, is there seems to be the needle moving towards the acceptance of climate change and green energy, and this really bothers me because I don't think the American public really has sat down and realized how many literally trillions and trillions of dollars it would take to move away from fossil fuels and literally destroy our economy. Your thoughts quickly on the Democrats and climate change.
Well, the Democrats are out in left field, but that's where socialists always are, out in left field. The reality is the American people don't see climate change. The vast number of them don't see it as such a big deal. In fact, they don't even believe it. So it's not going to go any. It's just another one of their crazy ideas, just like getting rid of all cows. That's another brilliant idea.
Dr. Lamero, you can't realize how much I appreciate your coming on our program, taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us. And if people want to follow what's going on with you, how can they get a hold of you and how can they get your books, Great News for America and More Great News for America?
Right. Well, go to my website, greatnewsforamerica.com. It's got about 200 web pages, believe it or not. I've got articles, and I've got all sorts of stuff, information. And they can also go to Amazon. I have 5 books that are currently selling on Amazon, and they can look me up on Amazon and buy some of the new books, or even, I'll tell you, the old books are classic. They're true today. I try to write books that don't change. They're true every day.
I want to extend to you and your family the best of Holy Week and Happy Easter. And again, thank you from my house to yours for being on the program. God's blessings, Dr. Gerard Lamero. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you and all your listeners.
Thank you, sir. Gentleman that I'm proud to call my friend, Dr. Gerard Romero, on our program. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it. Right now, we got to get a weather forecast on here. Oh, do we ever. And the weather brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats. Boy, oh boy, delicious meats. Whether it's the marinated pork ribs or the tri-tips, or in the morning, all the different breakfast bacons and the sausages, and my favorite, the bratwurst. Oh, man, we're talking delicious. Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Looks like we're going to see a little bit of sunshine. Here's a look at your weather forecast today. 30% chance of showers, a very slight chance, but other than that, partly sunny skies, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds out of the west at about 15 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. We're looking at a high of 55 tonight. Nice and clear skies with a low of 36 tomorrow. Glorious sunshine, a little bit on the breezy side, expecting a high of 60, mostly clear for tomorrow night with a low of 39. By Thursday, sunny skies with a high of 67. By Friday, sunny and 76. Saturday, we do have a 40% chance of rain showers. That means the weather's going to be changing just a little bit. Partly sunny skies, high of 60. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate you, Gina. Thank you very much. Job well done. Scarrow's Meats, and their job is well done. Supplying the best of meats to you and your family at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Scarrow's Meats, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Don, come on over and visit and bring some bratwurst. There you go. Also, again, I want to remind you about, and we'll take some more calls in the time remaining at 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I want to remind you again, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Oh boy, you better schedule a tune-up for your whole home comfort system. And if you need a new one, Lennox Home Comfort Systems, along with Ramsey, they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates for a new system. Call today. Ask questions about it. They can help. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Or go to ramseysonline.com. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Wow. Tomorrow on the program, while I'm waiting for some calls, we're going to have a great, great conversation with Dave Bigo back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Then at 9:30, Gregory Wrightstone talking about the it's getting worse. It's getting worse. The absolute imbecilic ideas about climate change and the left. And then at 10:06 for the entirety of the hour up until 11, we're going to have the Fish and Game Report. Wells, look forward to having them on the program at least once a month. Thank you very much. Also, real quick, while I'm waiting for your calls, I'd like to remind you about our major sponsor, and we just absolutely appreciate everything they do, and that's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers have a big spring tire sale going on right now where you can save money on the tires you need for your car, your pickup, your SUV, your boat trailer, horse trailer, whatever. They've got all the sizes, all the tread designs just waiting for you. Stop in and see them today. And don't forget the very best of brake service, professionally trained brake technicians, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. All of this at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Yep, the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Proud to have them on the program. Always have been. Want to remind you a couple of things. First of all, this Saturday at from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Rupert Senior Center, the benefit dinner for J.R. Strunk. I urge you to be there, please. Let's show J.R. how much we appreciate what he's done to help others in the past, and right now he needs a little help, so by golly, I want you there. 4 to 6 p.m. at the Rupert Senior Center this coming Saturday on the 20th, and there'll be drawings and all kinds of goodies, so please be there. For more information, contact George Mass or Les Wilson. Then, another reminder that on Thursday this week, at 10:30. Our lunch bunch will be at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, starting at 11:30. Our thanks for all the gift certificate donations, Walmart, Smith's Foods, Hanson Mortuary, Stokes Groceries, Doug Martin, Denny's. Going to be a lot of fun, and I urge you and I ask you, please, to bring somebody new. Let's get some new people coming in there to Denny's for our Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Great folks, great food, and we'll just have a lot of fun. Okay, let's see what else have I got cooking here. Oh, and I got to say it one more time. Bingo Friday night at the Rupert Senior Center, and I've got a new addition to that note that every Friday they're going to be playing bingo and at the Minidoka County Senior Center. And starting on the 26th of April, the ticket sales will start at 5 p.m. Doors will open an hour early at 4 p.m., and then they'll have their early bird and bonanza games at 6 p.m. Sounds like they're going to have a full house. Till tomorrow, right here on Zeb at the Ranch, where we always say the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the world needs more cowboys. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06. God bless.